Hello, 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 and welcome to today's podcast of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. Let's jump right in. Thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. I have an amazing guest speaker with us, Michaela. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh my God. Michaela is an awesome story of struggle to triumph. And I'm here today sharing her story. She's endured kidney disease, a husband who was enduring PTSD, and the death of two people closest to her. She is here to share how she overcame these obstacles and where she is now mentally and emotionally. Welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. We were just kind of joking about how crazy things happen during podcasts, and there we go, right off the gate.
Hey,
one of the things that I always make sure I do is just like reconfirm the name, and I just totally forgot with what, got distracted during the pre-conversation, so I'm sorry about that. How has your week been? You told me that you're doing some stuff in your house. Getting some sleep, I hope.
Yep. Trying. Yeah.
What kind of dogs do you have, by the way? You were just telling me about your dogs before we jumped on.
So at the moment we have 4 dogs. We had to put 2 of our babies down, which one was a spaniel pointer mix. That was our only female. And then my husband's dog, a boxer, we had to put him down recently.
Oh.
Yeah. So we have Champ, who's my baby. He's a lab, American lab. He's huge. We have a terrier mix. He's 20.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, these are all old guys except the new one. And so Champ's around 12, I think, and the terrier's 20. Our Chihuahua mix is up there. And then our new guy is actually from Puerto Rico, and he has one eye because it got pecked out by a rooster, so he had to have surgery.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we've had him, I think it's been almost 4 months, and he's a spring chicken. He's only 3 years old compared to all our old guys here.
Oh, wait, how does his eye get pecked out by, were they like in a brawl?
I don't know.
Or was he sick?
After the chickens. No, the rooster pecked his eye. So they had to take it out. Yeah.
The rooster just came up and just freaking jabbed him.
That's what I was told.
Oh my gosh. Brutal. Well, that's a lot of dogs. Do you normally have that many dogs in your house?
Yeah. It used to be 5.
Wow. Are these inside outside dogs, or are these
Oh yeah. They're our babies.
That's cool. Wow. Well, listen, we have a lot to talk about, and I'm so glad to have you on. You're bringing up topics that I have not had on this podcast before, so I'm somewhat, sounds weird, but somewhat excited to kind of jump in and talk about some of this stuff, and for you to be able to share, how you're able to overcome it and where you are now. The first thing that I like to do is kind of just get an overview of your earlier years, and just kind of who you were as a child, and anything that kind of stands out as far as younghood and teenage years into adulthood. It's a lot of years to cover.
Yeah, as a child, I was very uncomfortable in my skin to start with. I grew up with a lot of abuse mentally, physically, and sexually. which took me a long, long, long time to get through. And then in my teenage years, I definitely personally went downhill. Um, when I was a teenager, so, okay. My parents had a rough relationship, and then my mom ended up kicking my dad out, long story short. And my mom was very, I hate to say this because I feel like a lot of people look up to my mom. She was there for a lot of people. She was an amazing person. But with my relationship, it was very narcissistic. I mean, as we got older, it got a little better. But so there was a lot of different relationships with her and other people. And obviously, I was angry with the situation with my parents. So I never got along with any of the people she was with. And I ended up hurting myself pretty much daily. Like I would cut myself pretty bad, my legs and my arms. So I'd wear long sleeves, so hopefully nobody could tell. And very, very depressed. And I started huffing fumes from
Wow.
nail polish and permanent markers, and nobody knew about it. Like my mom knew if something was up, but she couldn't figure it out. And none of my friends knew. So when I went to rehab, it was kind of like they were confused because they didn't know what was going on. And it's interesting because in rehab, basically I learned how to hide stuff really well.
Really?
Yeah, and just a lot of like really stuff I would never fathom. And I was actually the outcast in rehab because I didn't do heroin, I didn't do cocaine, I didn't really drink. So I wasn't considered an addict by the people that were in rehab. So I was always the outcast, and you had your certain people like the heroin people here, and then people that did cocaine and crack, and so once again I wasn't fitting in.
Got it.
And I actually got kicked out of that program because I ran away too many times, and then I ended up at my dad's house, and I finished high school. Yeah. And then I remember 2 days before I was 16, I had, what's it called? One of my ovaries had a cyst and a tumor the size of a football on it. So they went in and took that out. Yeah, I remember because I couldn't really do much because they were afraid it was going to rupture.
How did you figure that out?
I had been going to a GYN over where I was living in Rhode Island, and they never said anything about it. I had a lot of discomfort, like wearing pants, and it was swollen in that area. And then I went to a new GYN in Connecticut, and they're like, "You need to have surgery right away." Yeah, and they actually showed me a picture of the tumor after the surgery because they're like, "Do you want to see it?" Of course, I want to see it.
Yeah.
But back then I didn't have a phone to like take a photo of it or anything.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So they just cut it out of you, and then you got to see it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like there in a pan.
Well, they had it laid on my stomach when they took the picture.
Wow. No kidding.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I want to ask, who, with the fumes
Mm-hmm.
and the cutting, who kind of caught on? Was that your mom that caught on, or dad, or?
My mom did, but she thought that I was doing it for attention. So everything was for attention.
And were you doing it for attention?
No.
Why were you doing
No, I didn't want people to notice me. No. Just to release the pain and to feel something.
it? No
If that makes
kidding.
sense.
Yeah. It actually does make a lot of sense. Um, do you know of, is there uh, places to go specifically for that? Or are you always kind of thrown in with just other addictions, like the way
I
you were?
I honestly have no idea.
You don't know. It's interesting to me. Wow. Um, so you finished high school.
Yep. Yep, I did that. I really thought I was not going to make it through high school, and I graduated, which was
Congratulations.
huge. Like I did this. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what happened soon after that?
High school, graduated. So when I moved to Waterford, I started working at Shaw's, and I met this guy that I was really attracted to. So we started dating, and right now we've been together for what will be 22 years. Um, so we were dating when we got. Is that too loud? Can you hear that?
Ooh, I can hear it.
You want me to turn
Oh,
that up?
wait. I mean, it's like subtle.
Okay.
I thought it was a car driving by.
No, that's lazy. um, so after we graduated, let me think. Where was I? We graduated in 2002, and then me and my boyfriend at the time, we ended up getting married because he wanted to join the military, the army, and I'm not too keen. I wasn't keen on him doing that, but I didn't want to be the person that was like stopped him, doing what he wanted to do. So I said, all right. So I went to the recruiting office with him, and they basically said, you guys need to be married if you want to go with him. I'm like, well, we've only been dating 2 years. So I didn't want to get married, but I didn't want him to leave me. So we ended up getting married. And then 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant.
Wow. How old were you?
18.
No kidding.
Yep. So we got married April 14th. What's that? Hold on. I'm horrible with dates. April 14th. My son was born in 2000, so 2003, because my son was born in 2004. I believe that's correct.
My son was born 2004 too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, March. What's yours?
January.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. How many children do you have, by the way?
3.
3.
So now they're 17, 15, and soon to be 14.
Very nice. So married at 18.
Yep.
And then pregnant.
Yep.
Like right away.
Some people thought that I got married because I was pregnant, which is totally not what happened.
Yeah, definitely.
And I actually, when my husband was in boot camp, I can't remember, just talking about this the other day, I can't remember if you have 2 or 3 or 5 minutes to talk, like once a day or once every other day. And I literally had to tell him, like, I'm pregnant. He's like, I have to go. So I had to wait until the next time I talked to him.
Really?
Yep. I'm like, so are you excited about this? He's like, oh, yeah. So I had to wait. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
My nose is itchy. Sorry.
That's okay. So right after you are married, find out you're pregnant, and then your husband's just gone?
Yeah, he went to boot camp. I found out I was pregnant when he wasn't here.
Got it. Okay. So ends up in boot camp, and then I know that Germany and Iraq are somewhere in the mix of there. Do you mind telling that whole story?
I remember I was at the Westerly, Rhode Island Walmart. It was like the first super Walmarts we had. And I was walking into the store with my mom, and Dan called, and he's like, I got my orders. I'm going to be stationed in Iraq. No, wait, first, excuse me, back up. He went over to Germany, said, okay. And then he called and he's like, I'm going to be over in Iraq. So I ended up staying with his parents and living there until he got back from his first deployment. And then I went over to Germany to live with him in military housing.
Wow. And how was that?
I wouldn't ever do it again. I love Germany, don't get me wrong, but living in military housing, like if I knew, I would have lived outside of the Kaserne. Yeah, because that's an option as well. But obviously, military housing is free.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. And then how long did that last for?
I think, let's see, I was there 2 years. He was there a total of 3. And then we ended up, so I had my second child, my daughter, in Aschaffenburg, Germany, in the Klinikum. And then we flew over back to the States when she was 3 months old.
Wow.
And what do you think?
And then that was just Germany.
Yes. And then we were stationed in Oklahoma. And then he ended up going into, I don't know what the unit's called, but it's a certain unit to help you process out of the Army. And then he got medically retired.
Got it.
Or what's it? Just no, honorable discharge, medically retired. Yeah.
Got it. So did he go to Iraq at all, or am I just making that up?
No, he went to Iraq. He did 2 tours in Iraq.
Okay. After that.
Before that.
Oh,
Sorry,
before that.
I went all the way back to the States. No, while we're in Germany, he got stationed in Iraq as well. So he went twice, did 2 tours.
Got it. That makes sense. So as far as all of that goes, with Germany, with Iraq, how did that affect your marriage?
Honestly, it was like a living hell. He came back, you get your debriefing, which doesn't really give you much info. It took us forever to figure out what was going on with him. He has had multiple TBIs, which is traumatic brain injuries, and his severe PTSD. And I didn't understand anything. He didn't understand anything. So we were both like at each other's throats all the time. And then our youngest son had a lot of issues, and that put fuel on the fire as well. And then, so the counselors at Germany, they're there for, I think like maybe 3 months, and then you have to switch counselors because I don't want people to get too familiar, because literally you can walk around the Kaserne in like 5 minutes. But we had this one lady, I remember, she told my husband that all the problems were to do with me and my child, and that he should send us back to the States. And I will never forget that, ever.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to her, but I didn't see her again. And then we had a new counselor. Thank God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. So what kind of assistance did he get, or does he get for dealing with that stuff?
At the time, they just threw him on medication, which did seem to work some of the time. And then he'd go off, and it wouldn't be good. But then the medications that they gave him pretty much ate his stomach. Like he had a lot of issues, couldn't keep weight on, especially because when they went over, I don't know if it's the first or second time to Iraq, they used MREs a lot longer than they're supposed to, and that really messed up his stomach. So it took years for him even to gain any weight. Everything would just go through him, like all his gut flora was gone.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
pain. And he ended up getting off the VA medications because some of them had some scary side effects. And he's doing pretty good. He started to see, it's been a few years. really lovely woman up in Enfield, Connecticut. She's an energy healer, and he started with her. And after a few times, I'm like, hey, I want to go. Like, I want to have a session. Mind you, she works with um, veterans for free. Like, I paid her for my sessions.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
So what made you go this that scares people sometimes. So how were you able to have an opening for that being an option? Like who
It was pretty much at the point where you either do something or I'm gone.
wow.
Yeah. Like it got that bad. Yeah.
Wow.
And do you mind if I go run and grab her pamphlet? It's like 2 seconds away.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Show you.
Yeah.
All right.
What are you doing? Hi.
Okay. I don't know why. I always get the name wrong, and I'm like, I can't get this wrong. It's well-being for warriors. So she's in
Oh, no kidding.
Enfield, Connecticut, and she's amazing. There's like a huge umbrella of practitioners she has, and the stuff she offers. She's an amazing woman. Her name is Deborah Stegmeyer.
How did you guys find her?
How did we find her? Somebody told me about her. I don't know if it was my counselor at the time, because I saw a counselor as well. No, I didn't see her till later. I can't remember at the moment.
Wow. Well, thank goodness, right?
Yeah. She's
Thank
been a
goodness.
blessing.
Yeah. So he starts starts seeing her,
Mm-hmm.
and you start seeing some changes.
Oh yeah. So it's not like rainbows and sunshine. You have to go through the trauma before you get healed from it, but the ending is 110% worth it.
Wow.
But going through, drudging through all of that muck is pretty intense. I will say that.
I bet. Did you guys do any sessions together?
We did not.
It's
No.
always separate.
We were both working on separate stuff.
Very cool. Well, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Two totally different situations, basically, and then trying to come together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that 100% makes sense. As far as seeing those changes happen, how long until you guys actually were like back on track? Did it take a good year or 2 or 5 years, or how long did it kind of?
I think I think we both saw her for around 2 years.
No kidding.
The reason I went to her is I was sick of my shit. I'm like, I need to let go of this and move on. You just gotta
100%.
you just gotta get sick of it.
100%. That 100% makes sense.